As I got out of bed, my heart's pounding. I opened the door and stepped out. All of a sudden, two hands just shoved me.
New Orleans, Louisiana. A city with a rich and eccentric history. But for Carla Vase and her family, moving to New Orleans was like coming home again.
My name is Carla Vase. I live in a 180-year-old home in New Orleans, Louisiana, with my sister Krista, my son Joe, my daughter Alexis, and our 5 dogs. There's Bijou, Chaos, Canto, Ruby, and Mac.
Carla has always watched out for everybody. If we got in trouble, we would never call her mom, we'd call her sister.
Family's everything to my mom.
She's the matriarch and the rock of the family for a reason.
I've always wanted to move to New Orleans. I remember coming here as a child with my grandfather. It felt magic, and it still feels that way to me. Before I moved to New Orleans, my husband died. The kids had moved out, and then Katrina hit. Katrina changed things for us. It put things in perspective.
My mom really wanted to keep us close after that, just in case something like that happened again, you know?
My whole goal after I was widowed was to create this safe haven to protect all of us. When we first pulled up to the house, it was absolutely amazing. It was massive. It needed a lot of work. Everything had to be redone. Electrical, plumbing. But it was a beautiful, very old, grand house. When I stepped inside the front door, it took my breath away.
It appeared that it belonged to somebody really eccentric.
Walking from room to room, it was just weird kind of decorations.
And there were these naked women pillars all along the foyer and blank canvases everywhere.
In the living room, there's a beautiful old mirror, but it was painted over and it was covered with a sheet. I thought it was kind of strange that anybody would want to cover that because it was absolutely lovely. In the servants' quarters, there were some really bizarre Egyptian paintings on the entire back wall. It's like a big orgy and there's people being squashed.
It was just kind of freaky.
I didn't think anything else about it. I really didn't care who lived there before. It's New Orleans. There's a million different kinds of people. I could look past all of that because it was perfect for what we needed. It just needed some work.
She put in an offer and ended up getting it for way less than she should have.
We got the keys, we were all excited. We're all exploring and looking around, and I walked to the second floor, and I see clothes on the bed and personal possessions still in the room.
It was definitely clear somebody was still living in the house.
It was probably a couple of hours after we came, and I heard a knock at the door. It was the caretaker who was living in the house.
He looked a little off.
He said he would get his stuff together and be out as soon as he could. He asked me if I planned on redoing the house. And I told him everything's getting gutted. He wasn't happy about it. That's when he said, let me explain something about the artwork that's in the back room. He explained to me that they were protection symbols and they really should remain in the house. He was pretty adamant about leaving that stuff up.
I'm not too comfortable with that crap being on the wall. I wrote a couple of things on the wall. Just kind of made a joke out of it. We've not seen the caretaker since that day.
As soon as we started ripping things out, the dogs started acting strange.
Bijou started trying to leave the house. We'd put her down on the floor and she'd head for the street every single time. Mac started crying at the floor. He destroyed my floors.
He'd never done anything like that before, ever.
Chaos initially was loving it. But when we started to renovate the kitchen floor, when the dirt became exposed, her whole demeanor changed. She would stare at these voids and growl, sometimes all night long, like she was waiting for something to come up that hole.
She sat by that hole for hours. It is crazy. I've never seen no crap like that before.
When Chaos started doing that, the whole feeling of the house changed. Everybody heard knocking, footsteps, doors closing.
We'd all look around the room and, you know, with our eyes say, "Did you hear that?"
I started having really vivid, horrible dreams. In the dream, everything's in slow motion. Everything is dark and quiet, and there's a mist. It's like the New Orleans fog. I would dream about things that had passed on. My husband, everything that was important to me that had died in my life. I would wake up in a cold sweat. I would cry. It was horrible. I talked to Alexis about it.
It sent shivers down my spine because I had been having the same dreams. They're every night, they're intense, and I haven't said anything about it, and she's having the same experiences. Something's got to be up.
We felt like they were being forced upon us.
When we were pulling up the flooring in Mom's room to replace all the floor joists, we noticed a big red spot.
They had already gotten several of the floorboards up, so you could see the stain underneath.
And I asked her, "What do you think this is?" "Please don't tell me it is what I think it is." we noticed a big red spot on the floor. Please don't tell me it is what I think it is.
I knew what it was immediately. It was an old puddle of blood. I considered maybe having DNA testing done or something on it, but I didn't want to start construction, and whatever was there happened a really long time ago. So we did nothing.
She just said covered up, so we covered it up.
One night, I went to bed. Matt came up and slept by me. At some point, he woke me up out of a sound sleep, and he's snarling and growling. And he was following something. He's growling at the corner, and clearly there's nothing in the corner. And then I grabbed my cell phone. I got it on video so people could actually see what I was experiencing.
What is it, man?
And me and Jake were sitting in my living room on the couch.
It was pitch black outside, no noise, just a quiet night.
And I got a weight set in my room.
We were just sitting there. And then we just heard this roll.
All of a sudden, we heard the dumbbell rolling across the floor.
We look at each other, wide eyes, and we look again, and they're rolled back to exactly where it was.
Gave me a really eerie feeling when I seen that. The hair on my neck standing up. My floor is pretty level. For that dumbbell to roll as far as it did and roll back, I can't explain it. Something was there. It's not something I really like to think about.
It really rocked his world. He found it really disturbing.
There was no doubt in my mind that something was trying to communicate in that house.
I didn't really have a lot of the history of the house. I never met anybody that I bought the house from. The house belonged to an LLC. That's all I knew. I talked to the neighbors about the previous owners, but they were kind of antisocial. Nobody really communicated with them, so nobody had a lot of information.
Carla told me about the scary things going on in the house. I'm not a true believer in all that kind of stuff. I believe there's always a logical explanation.
Krista's kind of, well, I want to see it for myself kind of attitude. So she was definitely not buying it at first.
One morning, I was by myself in the house. I'm sitting at my kitchen counter paying bills, and I heard this huge crash. I knew something had fallen. I got up and went in the dining room, and the mirror was shattered all over the floor. And then I hear another crash, boom, upstairs. I run up the stairs, and I can't frickin' believe it. Another mirror had come down in the hall bathroom. Oh my God, how did that happen? And then I hear a crash in my bedroom. And I think, oh crap. I knew what I was gonna say. The mirror was shattered all over the floor. It was a sickening kind of feeling in my stomach. That was horrifying. What are the odds of that happening, boom, 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 in sequence like that? That was not a coincidence.
They're in studs. I hung them myself. There's no way. No way that them mirrors could have fallen on their own.
You try to rationalize it, but it gets to the point where so many things happen, there just is no explanation.
She was just like, why is this happening? I sat down and talked to her about it. I told her they broke. Deal with the broken mirrors. It's nothing to get frightened about.
My Aunt Krista is one of those people that demands proof. She's definitely the biggest skeptic of the family.
When we started ripping into the kitchen, the floors were too far gone, so we had to rip them all up. It was just an open dirt pit. Chaos would go into the house and play and stuff like that.
One day we were working in the house. I noticed Chaos is chewing on something. I thought it was a big leather chew toy that had just got all muddy. I look down again, and the thing's half gone. That's when I pick it up, and I can see that it's not a chew toy. And it's clearly a bone. Chaos is chewing on something, and I can see that it was bone.
I definitely got an idea that the bone had a big part of what was going on in the house. Maybe somebody's buried under there. Maybe it was a murder victim. You know, just no way to tell.
At that point, I'm wondering, was it his blood that we found in my bedroom? I did call the police. Finally, somebody did come. She collected the bone, and she told me we'll be in contact.
We never saw that bone again or heard anything about that bone.
It was early evening, and it was just getting dark outside. I get out of bed, and I'm heading toward the big staircase that goes all the way down. I'm just starting to take my first step, and I hear like somebody breathing on my neck. And it was so strong, it blew my hair, and it caught me off balance. It startled me, and I fell. When I landed and I looked back, I saw nothing. And I came this close to going all the way down those stairs. That would have killed me.
I heard her scream, and I went running in, and there she is on the stairs. I asked her, "Are you okay?" She said, "No, I think I hurt my leg." I think it scared her.
My heart was beating a mile a minute. My hands were shaking. I never experienced anything like that. It was a different kind of fear. I didn't know what was going to happen next. It was horrible. It was terrifying. I went from believing that it really couldn't hurt me to thinking it could. And that's disturbing.
It was almost too much for her to handle. Her strong demeanor was starting to deteriorate.
To see her crumble like that, it really worried me.
It definitely makes things scarier to see that the woman who has always held it together is not holding it together anymore.
At that point in time, I truly did not believe in this crap. I think she lost her footing. Suck it up and move on. That's what I would have done. A few weeks later, I'm laying in bed. It's probably around 9, 10 o'clock at night. I was reading in my room and had all the dogs with me. All of a sudden, the dogs started doing that low growl, like there's something out there. As I got out of bed, my heart's pounding. I opened the door and stepped out. I'm walking down the steps, and all of a sudden, two hands just shoved me.
Tales of the Haunted. A few hours from New Orleans is the Myrtles Plantation, a manor rich with history and legend. One tale is of a former owner's wife who was poisoned by their slave. For generations, visitors to the infamous mansion have heard phantom voices, been physically pushed, and have even seen the ghost of a woman roaming the grounds. This photograph is supposedly evidence of the actual woman said to haunt the property.
I'm walking down the steps. All of a sudden, two hands just shoved me. I fell forward, and then I hit the marble like this. It hurt so bad. I looked up, and there was nothing on the staircase. That's when it became real to me. There was something in that house. Whatever was in there was pissed off.
Krista's sitting in the kitchen, and she is really hurt. Her whole bottom lip won't move, and it's starting to turn black.
I had to go to the hospital.
She actually spent 2 nights there with a hairline fracture.
That was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back.
It could have killed her. At that point, I'm afraid for my family. I'm afraid for my animals. My goal was to create this safe haven. And instead, I've brought us into this environment that there's no protection from. Whatever is in there, I don't want it there anymore. Now I have to fight and make it safe. If I didn't, something really bad was going to happen.
My name is Kalila Smith. I'm the founder of the New Orleans Paranormal and Occult Research Society. I've been working with the paranormal for over 15 years. The family contacted me and indicated that they were having a lot of strange things happen. This case seemed to be a lot more active than others that I have had in the past. Carla was having nightmares. There were mirrors breaking. They'd actually found some bones underneath the property. People were getting pushed. There clearly seemed to be a malevolent presence in the home. I recommended that they have a full-scale investigation done. In addition to my team, we were also accompanied by Carl Johnson and Chris Fleming.
I specialize as a demonologist. I delve into the more serious cases where clients have actually been assaulted.
I'm a paranormal investigator, but I'm also a sensitive. A sensitive is somebody that can pick up frequencies or changes in the environment. Some of these changes tend to be what we call conscious energy, such as spirits and ghosts. As soon as I went in that house, it was like bam.
Right? Remember I said in front of the, like a veil?
I definitely felt an oppressive type feeling. It's like swimming through water.
We also had Ken Arrington with us.
My name's Ken Arrington, and I'm a paranormal investigator. When I go into a case, I'll bring EMF detectors that pick up on natural EM fields. I also bring audio recorders and a video camera to see what's going on around me.
Pets in the home can serve as beacons for paranormal activity.
We're going upstairs.
So we followed these dogs as they led us up the stairs. They went up to the second floor, and their behavior had changed. They started to whimper and cringe.
The dog's reacting to something.
We're speaking to the spirits here. If you want us to leave this place, make your presence known.
Light bulbs are going off.
All right, we noticed the change in the lights. Maybe you can make yourself known that way.
The chandelier started flickering on cue in response to his questions. That was phenomenal.
The lights flickering was telling us that they're there, that they can affect the environment. And the question is, does it continue to happen? If it does, then it's something electrical. It didn't happen again after that. Is there anyone upstairs on the third floor?
We darkened the lights in the house.
We removed the dogs and they went downstairs. Can you show yourself? I know you're up here.
Did you hear that?
Can you show yourself? I know you're up here.
Did you hear that?
I heard that.
We heard a growl. And all of a sudden, we get this growl.
What was that?
That wasn't the dog.
Everybody heard it. And at first, I'm like, well, is that the dogs? No, all the dogs were downstairs, and this did not sound like the dogs. It was not happy that we were pursuing its presence.
This was a warning. Don't proceed further.
It's scary, but I was relieved that so many people heard it with me.
It's extremely rare to get a verbal response that everybody hears.
At that point, I wondered if we were addressing a demonic entity. They can frequently manifest with growling sounds.
While we started walking back downstairs from the second floor, I feel like I was being suffocated, as if a bunch of people were piling on top of me. You guys feel that?
I picked up on several spirits, some which were very angry.
There's an uneasiness in this room. This haunting is not a normal case by any means.
We came to believe that we were addressing a community of spirits, perhaps trapped inside the house. Depicted on one of the walls in that room is an Egyptian motif. The Sphinx that is trampling human men. The overall impression I perceive from this illustration is vanquish one's enemies, protect the sect from outside influence.
There is something that occurred right in this spot. When I was in the room with the mural, I felt like I was seeing something I'm not supposed to see. Oh man, I'm just getting total like hatchet going down. I got this flash of this long knife or hatchet cutting off flesh. Stuff just being cut.
Oh my God, that is horrifying.
Blood everywhere. I'm seeing candles lit with robes, and I see this filled with blood. That's part of the ritual. This image I was seeing was showing me that the rituals went on in this room. There was violence, there was chanting, and there was blood.
In my long experience with paranormal research, rarely have I come across such strange goings-on. My concern for the family had solidified. These people were experiencing a genuine threat.
I thought, I am in this thing so deep, I am stuck. I've worked so hard on that. I spent so much money, so much time. I can't leave. I don't really have the option of selling.
My name is Ken. We've lived in the neighborhood for about 6 years. Carla asked what we knew. We informed her that we had heard a rumor that a religious order lived there. They really led a very private life. When they would have their functions, they all would come dressed in white. On a couple of occasions, we actually noticed cages going in with covers over them, and you could see animal feet at the bottom. There were neighbors that complained about animals being sacrificed, part of a ritual. And they were there about a year. The head guy had a heart attack. Katrina hit, and then they moved on.
The information that I got from Ken totally freaked me out. You know, I just thought it was bizarre.
Through my research, I discovered that the religious order that was operating at the house was founded in 1968. The man that founded that religious order was known as Ordun. There's something in the past of this house that is causing some of these things, and I think when the religious order came to this home, they tapped into it. Not intentionally. I think doorways were open that allowed energies to come into the home.
They would do invocations, maybe even coax the spirits to communicate with them through ritualistic animal sacrifice.
We are currently about to begin a spirit box session, first for tonight in the dining room, and it is about 12:15. This device sweeps radio frequencies that ghosts and spirits manipulate. The theory is that they can communicate through these frequencies.
Our plan was to see if we could get any messages that we could make sense of.
We would all take turns asking questions to see what spirit or who would respond. All spirits that are present in this house only, I ask that you please come forward and communicate with us through this device. Just to ask a question. And I felt it was important for Krista to ask some questions because she had had some things happen to her in the house. She's been shoved.
Are there any spirits that want to communicate with me? I asked, why are you in this house?
To our collective surprise, we all heard the name Ordune.
It clearly said Odun.
This, more than any other single element, confirmed to me that we were dealing with a conscious entity. This was far too much to be mere coincidence.
At least now I knew what I was up against.
Did you bring those other spirits here?
Kalila asked, "Did you call forth the spirit through the mirrors?"
Did you bring in the spirits through the mirrors?
The voice came through saying yes.
It gave us the confirmation and realizing why most of those spirits are there and how they got there.
Spirits were called into the property, and no one put those spirits back. It's basically like opening a door and then walking away.
Many occult practitioners believe that spirits can come and go through the portals provided by mirrors.
There's a connection with these mirrors. They're all breaking for a reason. The spirits are trying to leave, and they can't.
When the family moved in, they found that some of these mirrors had been painted black. It is possible that the mirrors were covered to keep the spirit presences within that house.
I was repulsed by that. When somebody passes, you have absolutely no right to reach in and try to disturb that spirit. Nothing can come from that but bad.
Something had to be done to put not only the spirits to rest, but also to give peace to the owner of the house.
The only thing we could all think of was to do a ritual with the mirrors.
If the spirits were invoked utilizing mirrors, perhaps they could leave through the mirrors. When we effected the mirror procedure, we utilized 3 mirrors.
Carl said a prayer.
Deum excelsi, exaurea percatus nostri. These 3 mirrors were picking up on the reflections of each, forming a triangle. Those spirits bound to this house, you now have passage leave. It is only shadow that binds you here. Christ asked Carla to directly address the spirits within the house.
Carl, say just a few words. This is your house. You live here now. Some of these spirits are bound here. They've tried to get out. Okay, you keep saying we're stuck here. We can't get out. Now's their chance. Okay, so you need to say that since you have a relationship with them.
I spoke and I told it I wasn't going anywhere. This is my home now. I love this house. You don't have to stay here. This house belongs to me and my family.
I was holding the one mirror. I wanted to feel if they were passing through or not.
Give us a sign that you hear us and you understand.
All of a sudden, I could feel the mirror shake and vibrate.
This thing's, it's like this, like that type of thing, like a vibration. As if something is going through it. I swear to you. There's nothing to be afraid of. Go home.
All of a sudden, I could feel the mirror shake and vibrate.
Something is
Going through it?
I swear to you.
I felt some things passing through, as if there were some certain shocks or vibrations in the mirror.
I'm getting some happiness, some smiles from some
I'm
spirits.
feeling it getting a lot lighter in here.
For me, that was confirmation that they were passing through.
You may leave through the power of God. Leave this house now. Amen. Then the temperature lowered. It got a little cooler in the room.
After the circle was closed, it felt peaceful. I felt like something had been accomplished at that point.
I really hope that the house blessing worked and that the spirits are gone.
It's not so tense anymore. The dog's temperament have changed. They're happier, they're playful, they're acting like a bunch of puppies.
It makes me feel like there's hope, that we caught this in time to live peacefully in this house.
I have more of a belief in the paranormal, and I'm definitely not skeptical about any of it.
We're not the same people that we were when we moved into the house. It rocked our entire belief system.
The house means a lot to us. New Orleans means a lot to us. We'll grow old and take care of each other and live happy old lives in the house.
If you have a story and want to be featured on The Haunted, visit our website at animalplanet.com/haunted.